With the world in turmoil in recent months, we could all use a bit of humor in our lives. From TV shows to movies, the options are endless. But after several hours of Netflix, it feels good to turn off the screens and unplug. Sometimes that can mean picking up a good book or finally opening that puzzle you bought 2 months ago. However, another pastime that many seldom think about is reading poetry. Poetry is an age-old art form, but not an outlet many typically view as one that can be funny. Usually we think of more serious poets like Robert Frost, Sylvia Plath, and Maya Angelou. American poet John Kenney is diversifying this one-track view of poetry and bringing some joy to readers through his candid, humorously dark, and often sarcastic writings. Here's Kenney reading one of the poems from his latest collection, Love Poems for Anxious People. The entry is titled, "A Friend Hasn't Texted Me Back Yet, and I Am Totally Fine with That."
It's fine. She's busy. Who isn't busy? It's just that it's been a few days, and it was an awesome picture of my appetizer at a restaurant. Whatever. Weird, though. She could have at least hearted it. I mean, it's a nice photo, if you like arugula, which she does. It's fine. Is it, though? 2 days. Well, a day and a half, technically. And she definitely saw it, read. The text said read. So I know she read it, and then ignored it. Or laughed. Laughed at my photo of my appetizer, which, sure, appeared to just be arugula, but it also had beets and shaved Parmesan. Now I'm the jackass. Maybe this nice person facade was total crap. I should have trusted my gut when I initially liked her, but then wondered if she was too nice. She's a horrible person, and I should tell her that. Wait, a text from her. Finally. So, hey, it says, my grandmother died. That would explain things. Still, commenting on my salad would have killed her?
Kenney's poetry captures the normal anxieties many of us feel day to day in this fast-paced world, and how this anxiety can quickly grow as we fall down a rabbit hole of negative thoughts. It can be something as small as an unreplied text or Facebook message, or something bigger like the feeling of a cough coming on and not knowing whether it's just a common cold or COVID-related. Kenney says that while feelings of anxiety may be more common in today's world, anxiety is a generalized feeling that millions of people deal with in different capacities.
Pre-COVID, current COVID, we live, I think, most of us, with that little voice in our heads that is not particularly kind sometimes. Beats us up for the comment we made at the party, for the presentation we did in a meeting. To me, what's interesting is we think of our lives as very unique and individual. And while they are, the experiences are, I think the emotions are universal. Anxiety and fear and confusion and stress. And so, to me, the harder you push on those things, there is, to me, in darkness, an ability to laugh.
We've all had those days where nothing seems to go right. But finding the funny upside of a horrible day can help you bounce back from your own misfortunes. And Kenney does exactly this through his poetry. He not only finds inspiration through his own bad experiences, but also the day-to-day anxieties of his inner circle.
I have some trusted friends. I'll reach out and say, listen, this is going to be on anxiety. Can you send me sort of your thoughts on that? So I love examples like that where I think a lot of the heavy lifting on these is the title. If I can get a good title, you're off to the races, and you get some words down and, you hone it. I think Truman Capote had that quote, there's no such thing as writing, there's only rewriting, and you really hone the heck out of them. But the title is a big part of it. And then it's just a matter of trying to find, the curves and the surprises and the awkwardness in it. Awkwardness is something that comes pretty naturally to me. So that's kind of the fun part.
As many of us have adopted new hobbies during this odd time, if you're thinking about trying to write some poetry, now is your chance. Kenney says don't constrain yourself with early criticisms, and instead keep going and rewriting until you've truly hit a wall.
Be kind to yourself. I think there is a tendency sitting there with the terrifyingness of the blank page to judge what we put down. And I don't think that's helpful at early stages. Get the words down and work with them and be kind to your ideas and let it flow. Where I get bogged down is when I start editing myself before the words get on the page. There's always time to rewrite.
Poetry doesn't fit into a singular box. It can be about anything, follow any rhythm, and be however long you'd like. Kenney highlights this word of advice through a short, snappy poem he wrote about a job interview gone horribly wrong. It's titled Job Interview Thank You Note.
Thank you again for taking the time to meet with me this morning, and also respecting my schedule by cutting our 30-minute interview to just 7 minutes. I'm glad you were able to see in that remarkably short window how much I would love the opportunity to work for your company. I would also like to apologize again for complimenting the photo of your grandmother on your desk. I did not realize that she was, in fact, your wife. I should add that I often laugh when I am nervous, which was why I was laughing as I was escorted from the building. I look forward to hearing from you.
Kenney is the author of Love Poems for Married People, Love Poems for People with Children, and his most recent release, Love Poems for Anxious People. You can purchase any of his books online on Amazon.com or from your local bookstore. Find out more about Kenney and all of our past guests at viewpointsradio.org. For more behind the scenes, visit Viewpoints Radio on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. This segment was written and produced by Amira Zaveri. Studio production by Jason Dickey. I'm Marty Peterson.
Viewpoints returns in just a moment.
Coming up next week.
If you speak to some of the young protesters on the streets, they even say they're willing to die for them.
The ongoing fight for democracy in Hong Kong. Then,
I always found the first foods, like the first oyster or the first person to drink milk, kind of the strangest.
The questions you never knew you had. I'm Marty Peterson.
and I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Viewpoints is a production of MediaTrax Communications. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows. And find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints.